It is well known that Montreal is suffering from what has come to be called a demolition crisis. When big buildings of historical interest are torn down, as the Van Horn House was in 1973, or these Victorian mansions on Drummond Street in 1975, their demolition makes headlines. But it's not only the homes of the tycoons of the past which are being destroyed to make way for the high-rises of the future. The development of the Cité complex by the Concordia Corporation leveled 260 dwellings in the Milton-Parc area. And just to the east of Milton-Parc, in the shadow of Concordia, is the district of Saint-Louis, a largely ethnic and low-rent neighborhood centering on the marketplaces of St. Lawrence Boulevard. St. Lawrence, Maine and the streets surrounding it are a unique part of Montreal. The food stores, delicatessens, fish markets and garment stores give the Maine a special personality and character. The people in the community are mainly immigrants of many cultures and languages. The area around St. Lawrence Street, the Saint Louis district, is one of the few remaining neighborhoods close to downtown Montreal. It's a busy and friendly place to live, but most of the residents are only tenants. Without the control that comes with local ownership, the future of the residents and the buildings is constantly in question. Because the development for high-rises is running unchecked, the existing buildings are left to deteriorate. In the past, their upkeep has often been maintained only on the surface, with a coat of paint or a temporary repair. They may be torn down and vacant lots used for parking. The shed in back, which once housed a fire escape, is now a fire hazard, and often so is the rest of the house. Or the land is simply left vacant, and sometimes more modern housing fills the gap. But these old houses are for the most part structurally sound. There's no need to tear them down. However, the things which make it habitable and safe must be made to conform to modern standards. Rehabilitation of these houses might be an alternative that will save Saint Louis for the people who live there. The Portuguese community of Saint Louis has become one of the most active and most visible exponents of renovation in the area. In the past few years, the Portuguese have bought low-cost housing and set about to renovate it according to their own standards of living. The homeowner eliminates many of the high costs of renovation by acting as his own architect and contractor. The renovation goes on while the owner and his family are living in the house. Although this is certainly an inconvenience, it does remove the unnecessary cost of a second dwelling place. Quite often, the owner is a skilled tradesman and can do much of the work himself. But what is particularly interesting is that through closely knit friendships in his neighborhood, a Portuguese renovating his house can get help from friends and relatives, exchanging their help for his own on other renovation projects. With this unique labor exchange system, only a minimal amount of work must be done by highly paid tradesmen, and consequently, costs are low. The ethnic community and family ties also help in finding suitable tenants for the newly renovated flats. These projects are usually privately financed, independent of the Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation or other lending institutions. The Ribeiro family extensively renovated their house on Clark Street over a 2-year period, installing electric heating and rebuilding the plumbing system, as well as adding many more modern conveniences. What was once a rundown building is now a home. Mr. and Mrs. Ribeiro are justifiably proud of what they've done.
Il faudrait voir avant qu'on mette la maison pour comprendre maintenant. Je trouve que nous sommes bien ici. Mes enfants ont ces écoles toutes près d'ici. Nous avons le bureau de poste, nous avons les banques, nous avons les marchés pour la nourriture, les hôpitaux. Nous avons tout. Quand les personnes me demandent pourquoi faire un ouvrage pareil, dans une place pareille, parce que beaucoup de gens nous demandent pourquoi dépenser tant d'argent ici, mais pour que nous aimons être ici. Pourquoi être ailleurs? J'aime ma maison. Après tant d'ouvrages que nous avons fait, quand on fait quelque chose, on se sent avec le droit d'y rester avec.
The Ribeiros and other Portuguese in Saint Louis have brought a new vitality to the area by renovating their homes. But it is unlikely that the systems of exchange that they have developed could become a blueprint for renovation outside the Portuguese community. The alternative is high-cost labor and expensive materials, and this means high rents. These larger and more elegantly built Victorian greystones on Laval Street are being completely renovated. The rents will be high, beyond the reach of the people who now live in the area. In a way, renovation of this kind, done at a high cost, is just as much of a threat to the character of the neighborhood as is the high-rise push east from the downtown. As the houses around the park of Carré Saint-Louis are rebuilt, the rents will be pushed up. People who can afford to pay more will move in to enjoy the sights of the buildings in the park, all within walking distance of the downtown. You can still lie in the sun or watch the children in Carré Saint-Louis, or listen to music or to the old men. But as the area gains respectability and the buildings are saved, these charms may be lost to the neighborhood. Government has tried to come to grips with the dilemma of decent low-cost housing. The City of Montreal, with federal and provincial funds, provides subsidies of up to 50% of the costs of renovation. If a landlord agrees to rent control, he can extend the life of his building and improve its value by renovating at a low cost. But the long delays of government bureaucracy are discouraging to a prospective renovator, and the programs are hindered by a lack of funds and administrative staff. In the long run, some kind of ownership of the buildings by the residents themselves seems to be the key to controlling the neighborhood. Buildings can be renovated and owned jointly with Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation funds. One organization in Saint Louis is attempting to cope with the red tape of renovation subsidies to implement this cooperative ideal. In 1973, the University Settlement House on Saint-Urbain Street began Rénovations Saint Louis, a non-profit corporation whose aim is to buy and renovate 50 flats and run them cooperatively. Their first project is completed, With CMHC and Settlement House funding, Rénovations Saint-Louis purchased a burned-out building and began a gut renovation. Even with renovation this extensive, it was possible to do the job at 1/2 the cost of demolition and reconstruction. More importantly, the rents are kept low. There is a strong emphasis on cooperative management and maintenance of the building. The tenants have a responsibility and a stake in where they live. Bob Stanley, architect for Rénovations Saint-Louis, speaks about its philosophy.
We're not doing this project from our point of view so that we can show off 50 renovated flats. I mean, that's not the purpose. The purpose is to show off a working cooperative so that we can encourage other people to take it up and work in their own self-interest. I mean, let's face it, we're not going to save everything tomorrow simply because of the civil inertia of the system. We're going to lose some areas of the city. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't fight the battle, because you're fighting the battle for the next block away and the block after that. And we'll do our damnedest in the meantime to deal with the problem as it is right here in front of us, and as John Smith, who lives down the street, faces it. But if we can generate more tools, then we're getting somewhere.
Ultimately, the success of rehabilitation projects depends on the commitment of the residents themselves. If the Portuguese housing rehabilitation or Rénovations Saint-Louis can catch on, then there's hope for the neighborhood. In Montreal, the alternatives to this commitment are all too evident.